To the latest on the Israel-Gaza conflict now. Just 24 hours ago, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was hinting at a potential deal to release hostages being held by Hamas. Now there are whisperings that's been thrown out the window and the military is instead preparing to storm tunnels under Gaza to rescue them. Reports from the Times suggesting any exchange hopes are fading, with a ceasefire seemingly out of the question, and so military intervention is looking like the only viable option, but it won't be easy. The tunnels are thought to be around 300 miles long, and if Israel is correct, then many of the command centres within them are under schools, hospitals, mosques, all in one of the most densely populated places on earth. Officials saying Hamas fighters are hiding in bunkers under hospitals like Al-Shifa. As the ground offensive enters its 6th week, medical facilities like this have found themselves in the firing line. The UN says it's under constant gunfire and bombings, the WHO adding it is no longer functioning as a hospital. There are thought to be up to as many as 650 patients there, including dozens of premature babies, some of whom have already died. There are also hundreds of healthcare workers and people who have been displaced fleeing the conflict, doctors saying it is impossible to evacuate. I'm joined now by Dr. Ophir Falk, who is a foreign policy advisor to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and has been in meetings with him throughout the day. So we want to start there then. What can you tell us about the plan to go into these tunnels?
Rosanna, thanks for having me. Clearly, I can't get into any operational details. What I can tell you is that the IDF is currently destroying Hamas. That is our mission. That is our mission objective: to destroy Hamas and to free the hostages. These aren't mutually exclusive goals. They actually can be complementary, and that's what we're doing right now.
Yeah, Dr. Falk, you know, we're 5-6 weeks into this military operation. When we speak to people from your government spokespeople, they say, you know, the goal is to destroy Hamas. How do you rate the success so far in that? And, you know, it's a long time for the hostages, obviously.
Right. So obviously, we need to remember on October 7th, these Hamas barbaric savages, they attacked Israel. They murdered over 1,000 of our people. They killed men, women, children. They beheaded children. They burned babies alive. And they waged war on us. Now we are returning war to Hamas. We are going to destroy Hamas, not only for the good of Israel, but for the good of humanity. It's a war between civilization and these Hamas savages, these barbaric savages. And we have no other choice but to destroy Hamas. In terms of success, actually, the IDF has been having unprecedented success, unknown in modern warfare. What the IDF has been able to do in the past month is unprecedented, and will continue to do. We've already killed thousands of Hamas terrorists in these tunnels and outside these tunnels. These savages, they target our civilians and they hide behind their civilians. They burn our babies alive and they hide behind their babies. Yeah. They hide behind their babies in hospitals, and they put their civilians at risk. We will win this war and we will dismantle Hamas.
And alongside killing thousands of those Hamas fighters, as you state there, likely thousands of civilians as well, which is why we've got to pose this question about whether you rate this a success. Look, talking about the hospital, Al-Shifa Hospital, you claim that Hamas are hiding in bunkers under the hospital. Those inside the hospital, Hamas run healthcare workers as well, etc. They say no, they're not under the hospital. But regardless of that, attacking a hospital is considered a crime under the ICC statute. Does that concern you?
Well, we are attacking terrorists, all right? And I'd like to make it very clear, Israel is in complete compliance with international law, complete compliance. The October 7th atrocities, the most proportional thing to those attacks is to destroy Hamas. Anything less than destroying Hamas would be less than proportional. While doing this, while destroying Hamas, we're making a clear distinction between civilians and terrorists, and we're targeting the terrorists. The Hamas, as I said, target our civilians and hide behind their own civilians. We don't target hospitals. We target the command posts that the Hamas plant underneath these babies and underneath these hospitals. We've already evacuated a number of hospitals from the north of Gaza to the south. Hundreds of thousands of Gazan civilians have managed to flee the harm's way. We've been urging civilians to get out of harm's way from the very outset. Hamas has done everything they can to keep the civilians as human shields. By doing so, by the way, they're doing a double war crime. They did a double war crime, a crime against humanity by attacking our civilians and by hiding behind their civilians. That's their mode of operation. That's what they've been doing for years, of hiding behind civilians. All right. The question now is, will that be effective? Will that be effective of these Hamas savages hiding behind their babies? And I don't think the world should let that be effective. We have to win. We will win for the good of civilization.
What reassurance can you give, other than having requested people move south and request people evacuate? You know, we're hearing from outside observers, UN, WHO, that there are people still in Al-Shifa hospital. They can't just get them out. I mean, how are you targeting Hamas in that sort of precise way, whilst also, you know, not harming these civilians as much as you can? I mean, how do you ensure that those patients are not being collateral damage in your targeting of Hamas in and around Al-Shifa hospital?
Right. So as I said, the IDF, we seek to minimize civilian casualties. We've been able to get hundreds of thousands of civilians out of harm's way. We've been able to evacuate a number of hospitals from the north to the south, and we're trying to get all the civilians out of this hospital as well. What I can assure you is that we will kill or capture every one of these Hamas savages.
In just the last few minutes, Dr. Falk, President Biden of the US said Al-Shifa hospital must be protected. Your response to that?
Well, we do protect the hospitals. We are targeting, again, we're targeting the terrorists and their command posts within these hospitals. And by the way, we appreciate the support President Biden has provided Israel, the moral and material support, the president and the American people, bipartisan support that the American people and the bipartisan parties in the US and the UK have provided Israel. It's heartwarming because they know and we know it's not only our fight. We're on the front lines for civilization. But if we lose, God forbid, and we won't lose, we will prevail. But if, God forbid, we do not win, the West is next, Europe, and then America. But Israel and the IDF will prevail, and we will destroy Hamas and free our hostages.